Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another episode or podcast, whatever you want to call it, of the Sporting160EN. This is podcast number 15. I'm joined here by the great Steph. Steph, how you doing, bro?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. It's been a while since we've done our little podcasts, and I missed it, to tell the truth. Um, but I'm doing great. I was in Portugal for 19 days. I got to watch the Sporting live for my first time ever. It was very exciting. I watched the game of Apresentação against Olympique Marseille. So it was a awesome experience. I got to meet some great people. Now I know where they eat the febres and they drink the super box.
Yeah.
About some stuff. I'm just gonna quickly tell you guys a little funny story. I went to o Pavilhão João Rocha, and then I was standing in line, which I thought it was a Loja Verde. And then it was like sunny. The sun was hitting me and my son. I'm like, God damn, why is it taking so long to get into Loja Verde? I mean, they're selling everything. And then all of a sudden, a police officer was actually in charge of letting people in. They let us in. And I was going inside the pavilion. And guess what? I got to meet the four captains of the four modalities. And I saw the actual cup that they won in volleyball, hockey in patins, futsal, and um, what's the other one? And what's the fourth one? Volleyball, futsal, hockey in patins. What am I forgetting? The fourth one. Some help, guys. You can remember the other one?
No.
Okay, and so I took pictures with all the captains, shook their hands next to the cup. It was just amazing. I was not expecting that, you know. So that was it. So the atmosphere was amazing. Loved it. But I'm doing well. So let's introduce Patrick now.
Yeah, some of you may know me from the Simply Football podcast, which obviously it has been discontinued. But I'm very happy to be here tonight. Obviously, Sunday night with a win for Sporting on the first day. So yeah, looking forward to the show. And once again, thanks for having me on.
Oh no, you were more than welcome. Um, Thank you for accepting the invitation.
No
Hey, Danny,
problem.
are you back, Danny? I think we lost Danny. I see him, but okay. So let's move on with the show with you and I, Patrick.
Okay.
So basically, we'll be talking about today's game, which was against Moreirense, and we won 3-1 away. So let's talk about the lineup. Um, so I'm getting the
Hello?
lineup.
Hello?
Hey, what's up, buddy? We lost you for a
Sorry, I think
second.
I think something went down. Sorry about that.
No, it's cool, man. I mean, okay, so you're
Sorry.
back. So I was
I'm
about to
back.
go over the lineup.
Oh, before we do that, let's talk a little preseason.
Okay, go ahead.
Just because I know you're going to make some great points on the preseason, as you made earlier. Just to run through it, our first game was in Switzerland against Neuchâtel Xamax. We lost 2-1 to them. And then we faced Nice also over in Switzerland, beat them 1-0, and then finished off that Switzerland campaign sort of thing 4-1 against Stade Uchi. We came home, jogo de apresentação. I believe you were there, Steph, against
Marseille.
Olympique Marseille.
Hmm.
We tied 1-1. Just before that, there was a closed game at Alcochete. We lost 2-1 to Marfa, and then we ended up losing 2-1 against Estoril. And then last preseason game, we tied 1-1 against Empoli for the Violinos, for the Trofeu Violinos. Patrick, just real quick, what did you think of preseason? Dislikes, likes of it. Just run us through it real quick. Your thoughts.
Well, it was always going to be a tricky one, obviously, with everything that's happening off the field and with the managerial changes as well. Pizarro coming in at a time where probably a lot of fans didn't expect that to happen. We never knew what was going to happen. Mihalovic came in charge and we thought that was that. But obviously, that change happens, and then the players have to adapt to what's in front of them. And with that comes adhering to Pozeiro's ideas, which I think was always going to be tricky, and it's proving to be tricky right now. We've had a few good moments, for example, against the likes of Nice and Marseille, where I really think the Sporting's looked at their best, but there has obviously been other games, and obviously I can't comment for the games behind closed doors, but the results weren't there. So one can only imagine that there are difficulties in Sporting patching certain things up and really clicking under Pozeiro. But as I said, it's been such a turbulent time for the club, and lots of changes have happened in and around it. It will be difficult to create that picture, and so it will take time. And we saw a little bit of that today again against Moreirense. So it's hard to be super critical about it. So we just have to take it, as it comes.
Yeah, for sure. Steph, what did you think of the preseason?
Well, the preseason, that's all it is. It's a preseason. That's when I don't mind Sporting losing, actually, because that's when the coach he's testing different players, different tactics. I don't understand why fans get a little bit like too concerned when we lose against the second division team like Mafra. To me, it's not a big deal because José Peseiro, he began the preseason late. He had to revamp the whole schedule. He just met the players. Um, the coaching staff was totally different. The players didn't know them. The coaching staff didn't know the players. So everything takes time for the chemistry for the team to start gelling. So when is he going to make the experiences? When is he going to test the team? It's the preseason. So I really don't really judge the team at the preseason stage because that's when mistakes they're supposed to happen. That's when he's supposed to play different tactics, different players. Um, so the preseason, I just didn't like it because logistically it was poorly done. But it's not Pozeiro's fault. It's the situation of the club that we in because of the attack of the academy. Everything was delayed. We have a president for another month, so Zacinti, he's there temporarily. So everything was very messy from the get go. And I think under the circumstances, Pozero did the best he could. The players did the best they could. I mean, we're still waiting for we waited for Bas Dost until when? A couple weeks ago. That's when we found out he was coming back, like Bataglia, like Bruno Fernandes. So everyone came back really late, but we expecting them to be in full rhythm. They can be in full rhythm. We'll talk about today's game, but the preseason is just that, a preseason. So I don't care about the trophies that we lost in the preseason. I don't care about that. That's trophies that don't mean anything. If you go to Record, it says Palmarès. You click on it, the trophies in the preseason they don't show up. So I can care less about the preseason. But now they need to get better, of course. And today was the beginning of the preseason, actually. But it's serious games, and that's when Pozero now will play the players he trusts the most. And that's what I gotta say about the preseason.
Yeah, quickly, just for me to throw in my own 2 cents. The only thing I think that I agree with you. I don't care. I can care less if we win or lose in the preseason. Funny enough, I seen pretty some good highlights during the preseason. We got to see a bit more of Matheus Pereira playing. Wendell was a good surprise. Lumor, etc. So in terms of the game, it was fine. I think our tactics, it was decent. I think the only problem with me was the cancellation of so many games. I think the administration. I don't know their thing. I understand that some people were saying that they were doing that because they felt like the team wasn't ready. So it was better for morale to not play games for a week than to play games, lose, and then have team. I mean, that didn't necessarily do much because the results wasn't there. And again, like you said, it doesn't matter. It's preseason about the results. That was just frustrating for me to see so many canceled games. I mean, the Cinco Violinos went from Genoa to Empoli. The Jogo Apresentação wasn't there. We were supposed to play PSV. We didn't. Fenerbahce, we didn't. It was frustrating in that sense. But whatever, it happened. I hope the Sporting board or whoever comes in learns from their mistakes this season or this preseason, and next preseason's a lot better than this one. All right, let's start with the game today. I'll go through the starting lineup. We had Solan in net instead of Viviano, who got injured on the warm-ups to the game. We had Ristovski at right back, Sebastian Coates and Mathieu at center backs, and Jefferson at left back. We had Petrovic and Bataglia in the midfield. Then we had Nani, Bruno Fernandes, and Acuna in the attacking midfield slots. And then we had Bas Dost as striker. Steph, take us through the game. What did you think of it? All that good stuff.
Well, like expected, the team was rusty. I was expecting that personally. I saw the whole game. I made it right on time. 1:25, I got home, turned on the TV, and I'm like, great, I'm gonna watch the whole game. But it's Moreirense. It's not an easy team. I'm not expecting too many teams to go to Moreirense and actually win. And we won. So last year we tied 1-1. People forget that, but we tied 1-1 in Moreirense. This year we won 3-1. It was not the most beautiful game. I'll admit that. We could do much better. But for a team that had such a shitty preseason, we just spoke about that, it was not that bad. We have to stop exaggerating. Sportingistas they have to stop exaggerating. I hate that. Seriously, I hate that. We're too demanding when we have to be more understandable than demanding at this point in time of the first jornada of the Liga NOS. The team will get better. The quality is there. Bruno Fernandes was the MVP and well deserved. Bas Dost, again, he scored 2 goals today. Amazing. I like the performances of Bataglia as well, but you could see he lacks of rhythm. The 2 substitutions were amazing. Right on. Giovanni and Rafinha coming in gave a different speed to Sporting. And you know what? If Rafinha doesn't start now, I'm pretty sure that in a couple games he will start because this guy is really good. So we lost Gelson Martins. We know the reasons why. We don't have to go talk about that because you'll just get people upset. But Rafinha is actually a good substitution for Gelson Martins. So I love those 2 kids. Mateus Pereira, I was expecting him to be in the game. He wasn't. But whatever Peseiro said to him, maybe he's got a point. You gotta give it all when you're practicing. But the game itself, I really like the chemistry. Yes, we have room for improvement, and we will get there. So it's just to all the Sportingistas that listen to us, just be patient. This is actually the first actual preseason game. These players playing 90 minutes. In the preseason games, each plays only 45 minutes. In the second half, it's a brand new team. So let's be patient, and our team will get there. A lot of people were expecting Sporting to lose today. I know that for a fact. And we won. So it's a good thing. The next game will be against Setúbal at home. And Setúbal, they won as well 2-0. So I'm pretty sure that we'll be right on track. We'll be fighting for the title. And I'm excited for Rafinha, Giovanni, Mateus Pereira. We have a lot of youth, a lot of good players. And even though today wasn't a great game, but we did the most important thing, which was winning, and we got the 3 points. E o resto é conversa fiada. That's it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Patrick, same as you, take us through the game and your thoughts of it, but also take us through the starting lineup. What was your initial reaction to it? How did you think we did overall? Weak links, strong points, all of that good stuff.
Yeah. So to go back to the whole situation, obviously Sporting haven't had the best of preparations, and Peseiro, clearly outlined that this would be a tricky game, and all he had his eyes on was a victory. And at the end of the day, that's what he got. That's what we've got, and we can't complain too much at that. It's always good to get your season off to a winning start as well. So, we'll take that. But generally, obviously, like many, I wasn't too impressed with the display, and I think mainly the reasons for that, and I think this goes deeper than just the players, not adhering fully to Peseiro's work yet, or all the trouble that's gone on in pre-season. I think one of Sporting's main issues lies in the midfield, and where we've lost a pivotal player like Williams, someone who can receive the ball on a half turn in midfield and make the ball circulate a lot quicker. We're just not able to do that anymore, and I think Petrovic is someone who tends to hide a little more, or he plays the ball a little bit safer. And when you have a player that does that, it's not his fault. He's playing to his strengths and not being silly with the ball. But when you have those limitations, it's very difficult to then progress up the field and play a vertical pass and break a team like Moreirense down, who came up against Sporting today, first game of the season, and were well up for trying to take some points off us. I think that's the trickiest puzzle that Peseiro will have to sort out between now and the end of the transfer window. I think Sporting definitely needs someone in there who can partner Battaglia or the new boy Storaro, for example, someone who can be a little bit more creative from deep, and at the same time allow the likes of Bruno Fernandes and Nani, Mateus Pereira, Rafinha, whoever you want, allow the creators to stay a little more forward in the final third, and then create their magic from there. I think that's the missing link from Sporting's play right now. With regards to the other players in the lineup, one change I would like to see is Acuna left back. I think not only would that allow for someone like Rafinha, who I've been very impressed with, especially last season for Guimarães. Not only would it allow for him to come in, or maybe Mateus Pereira or Jovan Cabral, who did very well today. But I think Acuna is a player who I've said throughout last season. I think he's a player who's very energetic, but technically he's not as gifted as the likes of Nani and Rafinha. So I think he's very traditional, and in a modern day football, I think that sort of player is more suited to a wing back role, a little bit like he does for Argentina. So that's something I'd like to see. I'd also like to see Peseiro be a little bit more lenient and accepting of a player like Vendel. I think a midfield for this situation, for what we had today, I think a midfielder, Vendel, Battaglia and Bruno Fernandes probably would have worked out better as a collective for Sporting going forwards. Other than that, I think the team is pretty much sorted. We've got a good battle on the right between Ristovski and Bruno Gaspar. I think they're two solid right backs, and I think we're okay there. The centre backs are the same. Mathieu Coates, we know how good they are. And I'm sure in time Viviano will get his chance to impress in goal as well. And so generally, I think everything's all right with the lineup. You just got to figure out who comes into midfield and rearrange the wings a little bit more, I think.
I agree with you 100%. Actually, I think Wendell, even Misic would have done a job. I think a bit better than Petrovic. It again leaves me asking questions as to why we loaned out Pelinha and kept Petrovic. I don't see. I'm not saying Pelinha is amazing by any stretch of the imagination. I do think he has a lot to work on his game as well. But from what I've seen of Petrovic, I think maybe he would have done a bit better defensively or just in general in his play. I think he's better on his feet. But again, I agree with you. I definitely Peseiro has to go into maybe the transfer market and resolve that midfielder spot, seeing as Struaro came to us injured, or finding some sort of solution from this team that he has, because we do also have a lot of players that still need to be sold, like Mateus Oliveira, like Ryan Gauld. There's a few more that's leaving my head right now. We have a lot of Castellanos or whatever his name is. Doumbia. There's still a lot of things needed to be resolved. I don't think that this 11 that he gave out today was the best 11 we can put out. Like you also said, Patrick, Acuna at left back I think would do much better of a job than Jefferson. Not that Jefferson was necessarily terrible today, but I think we've seen Jefferson over the years put in a lot better of a performance. Even last year at Braga, he had, really good moments starting off, and then he sort of, fell off towards the end of the season. I think maybe age is getting to him.
Let's be fair and square though. If we're going to talk about defender, Jefferson was not his best game, but Stefan Ritovski, he made some crucial mistakes too, and Mathieu as well. I mean, the most solid defender we had today was Coates.
But I agree. Coates at a certain time was even running up a bit more, sort of playing as like a center defensive midfielder, because Petrovic was sort of nullified there. He didn't do much. The only thing with Mathieu, I think Mathieu had to, cover up Jefferson's tracks quite a few times this game today, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, Petrovic is very limited. We all know that. I don't know why coaches keep him. They must see something he does in practices, but everyone sees it. He's just like Pinheiro, Talin faz merda nenhuma. Everybody sees that. But Peseiro likes him, I guess. I don't know why. And JJ liked him too. So, I mean, he's played the center back and he did okay. Maybe that's why they save him for that position. But like Patrick said, he's not a William Carvalho at all. No. He's got no vision. But go ahead, man. I didn't mean to cut you.
No, not at all. No, I agree with you. Exactly that. And yeah, I hear, I don't know if maybe you guys can say if it's true or not. I heard that Mateus Pereira wasn't on the bench because of yellow card accumulation from last season, from Chaves.
That's what they said. I heard. Yeah, but the response that Peseiro gave on the conference,
for sure, and we'll get into that. We'll get into that later on.
Okay.
Let's talk about moments in the game. Let's start off. I think it was the 6th minute. When did they score? 6th minute. Tavares went through Solen's legs. How did you guys see that moment? Do you think we could have done something better? Were we asleep? Were they just too good for us?
No, that was a great cross from the right side, and then Ritovski was caught sleeping. Yeah, that's simple as that.
Simple as that.
Yeah.
And then, Bruno Fernandes' goal was good. The penalty, Patrick, we'll take it off to you. Clear-cut penalty, debatable. What did you think?
Yeah, I think it's a penalty. There's obviously it's one of those where you do have to see one or two times. Just to be sure, but I think it's clear. Heriberto Tavares comes from behind. He gets an arm on João Cabral, and then with his left foot, I believe, makes clear contact with Cabral and takes him down. And it was clumsy from this man, and clear penalty for me.
Yeah, I agree. And then there was the third goal. Bas Dost easily chips over the goalie like it was nothing. Beautiful ball from Bruno Fernandes. I don't want to phrase the question like this, but are they forgiven? Are Bruno Fernandes and Bas Dost forgiven?
You asking me?
Both of you, chime in, guys. So, whatever your opinions are, chime in.
I'll go first. I mean, it's a sore subject. We all know that, but at least they came back. At least they came back. You know, they came back. They got a new contract, and I don't care what people say, but they came back. We had people from our academy. They grew up in our academy as kids, like Rui Patricio,
All
like
of them.
Gelson
All that.
Martins, like Rafael Leão. I mean, enough said. These guys came back and they're not from Formação Sporting. Those three names I just mentioned, they were from the Formação Sporting. If people want to be like upset, be upset at Rui Patricio, Gelson Martins, and Podens and Rafael Leão. That's the people you should be upset about. Yes, I forgave them a long time ago. Bruno Fernandes, I forgave him because he came back, he gave his reasons, and I accepted it, me personally. Bas Dost, why would people be upset about Bas Dost? He's the one with the broken head. Come on. He didn't have to come back. He came back and he gave his reasons, and me, I accepted his reasons. He's forgiven. Of course, he's forgiven because I'm upset. I'm pissed about Podence, and I'll say it again and again and again. I'll say maybe 15 times in this podcast because people forget that these four guys, they were from a Formação Sporting champions in under 15, under 17, under 19. We never thought they would do it to us, and they did it to us. So be upset at these four people. Don't be upset at Bruno Fernandes, and don't be upset at the Bas Dost because they could have gone the other way easily, but they accepted to come back and handle all the pressure that we're giving them, all the criticism that we're giving them. So I value those two individuals for coming back, and I applaud them because they have a strong character, and they just needed some time to think about the whole thing and speak with their families, and they spoke about their families, and obviously they came back, and people they still say because of money, this and that. Maybe it was, but they still came back, and those four, o Podense, o Rafael Leão, Rui Patrício e o Gelson Martins, da formação de Sporting, they never came back, they just left us. E eram sportinguistas, e não sei o que da formação, e os melhores não sei mais o que, but they didn't come back. So I'll be pissed at those four individuals. Yes, I forgive them.
5 individuals. So you,
5.
Okay.
Até ainda pior.
Ainda pior, yeah. Patrick, what do you think?
Yeah, there's not much more to add to that. Obviously, with the DOS situation, it was in my eyes understandable that he would walk away, and perhaps he's the only one. Should this go to court, perhaps he would have been the only one that would have had the best case to do what he did, which was rescind the contract. So with DOS, I have no hard feelings at all, and even with Bruno Fernandes coming back now, it's counterproductive for us to be waiting on a bad moment from Bruno Fernandes to then say, you see, and start throwing stuff his way. He's here now at Sporting. Clearly today you saw the effort he put in with another big performance, and he's here. He's here to fight for the club, and when it's like that, you just got to go with the player till the end, and then whatever happens after, we'll leave it to them. But for now, the focus is on Bruno Fernandes being a Sporting player, and every Sporting player I think deserves our support.
100%. I agree with both of you. However, should Bruno Fernandes get the captaincy? Should he have the armband when Nani is subbed off? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think so because if you look at the Sporting team, I don't think there is that many big characters like that to take it on. I think the only one outside Bruno Fernandes and Nani, in my opinion, is Coates. But really, with the amount of players that we've lost, we're talking about Patricio and William. It's not how do you say it? It's rare for you to lose your captain and your vice captain in one go.
Yeah.
So and obviously when we're talking about a team that's very perhaps fragile or a little insecure mentally, I think Bruno Fernandes is someone who's coming back in, and he's clearly very confident in his ability, and he's never hidden on the field. So I think it makes sense for Bruno Fernandes to be right up there on the pecking order, and I think he'll show this season in just how much of a leader he can be.
No, I agree too, because you want a captain that knows being a captain is just not being, being a captain. You have to
Or being
know.
there the longest, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That it shouldn't be the decision making. Being a captain is you a leader in the locker room. You know how to talk to referees. If you have to talk to one of your fellow soccer players, they'll listen to you. Position somebody else where they're supposed to be positioned. So a captain is also kind of an assistant coach on the pitch. So Bruno Fernandes has those kind of skills. He's smart. You could tell. So yeah, I totally agree that Bruno Fernandes should be one of the captains. And if I'm not mistaken, the way they chosen it's among the team. They vote for most of the times. Um, so I don't know if it was Peseiro. Sometimes it's the coach that designates who will be the captain and the sub captains and all that. But most of the time, it's the team. In one of the practices, they say, "Okay, let's vote for our captains," and then they pick what four, like one captain and three vice captains.
It's usually, yeah,
Yeah,
usually
four.
that. Sometimes they'll just limit it to just captain and vice captain. I've seen like other teams having third vice captain sort of thing.
Yeah, I've seen that too.
Depends.
Yeah, but that's why you need someone on the pitch that knows how to talk to the referees, that the referees respect. You know what I mean? Being a captain
I agree.
nowadays, it's a lot of weight. So if you have Petrovic as a captain, it has to be someone that understands the Portuguese league, knows how to speak Portuguese. It helps a lot with the referees. So I agree that Bruno Fernandes should be one of the vice captains.
I don't mind him so much taking the captaincy, but it's just that when you have Quats on the field, especially a guy who stuck through it, even Mathieu, who has the experience that he has playing in one of the best teams in the world, playing in the best leagues in the world. If I'm not mistaken, he's a Champions League winner. I think between one of them two, I think should have maybe gotten it. If they're not on the field, then okay, Bruno Fernandes should get it. He's slowly winning me back. I know I'm probably sounding bitter and petty over here, but I don't know. I just for as of right now, I'm not a huge fan of seeing Bruno Fernandes with the captaincy. But to be fair, if he plays like he does today, every game, there's nothing much I can say. I can't really criticize the guy. Let me see. Let me see. What else can we? Salah came in, did a wonderful job. Has to be said.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
We now have Salah, Hernan, Ribeiro, who we just signed for Estoril. We have Viviano, who we've seen for the most part in preseason. We also have Luis Max, but I don't think he'll really have a say in any of this. But of those three, I guess who would you have, especially after this game in consideration, who would you really have as starter? Because Salah made a good case for himself. Maybe he shouldn't be leaving after all. What do you guys think?
For me, I'd still stick with Viviano based on the bits that I've seen from him in the Italian league, and he's got a good CV behind him as well in terms of clubs that he's represented. I think given time, he's obviously been very unfortunate. He's had one or two mistakes in pre-season, and then obviously comes into the first game of the season and he picks up this injury. But I do think in time he'll get the opportunity to prove his worth and cement himself as the number one. I think he is a cut above Salah and Hernan. And of that situation, obviously, it's unusual for a team to have four goalkeepers. Usually it's three. I do think it perhaps makes more sense to cut Salah out,
Right.
which I think would be a shame because obviously, for us that have followed Sporting during this past season, we know how much of a character Salah is in a dressing room and from the touchline. So it's always sad to potentially see someone like that go. But with the situation that Sporting's in, having signed Renan, I think that's probably the most likely option is to get rid of Salan.
Agreed. Steph, what about you?
Me, I would keep Salah. Salah knows the Portuguese really well, and I think it's a mistake to get rid of him. Um, and if I'm the coach, I'm going to stick with Salah. He showed me today I could count on him for a full 90 minutes. He made some amazing saves, and Viviano would have to wait for his opportunity. That's the way it is as a professional footballer. If somebody takes your spot, now you got to wait and then to get it back. That's me, but I'm just a guy in Delaware in the United States. So, but I would keep Salah. You guys saw it today. His performance was great, and he's a great leadership. He's got one thing that he's better than Rui Patricio. He releases the ball a lot faster. Rui Patricio loved to hold on to the ball. Salah is better with his feet too, and he releases the ball quite faster. And that's it. I would keep him. I wouldn't sell him.
The only thing that I liked Salah, and especially after today, I like him even a bit more. The only thing that really pisses me off is unless he's not doing it in training, why would we, go out and I think Viviano's our starter. The only thing is, why would we go out and grab a guy like Hernan Ribeiro? Mind you, I haven't seen a lot of him from Estoril. To be honest, when I did see him, it was against Sporting or against the big three, and he didn't really stand out in my eyes or anything like that. So the only thing that's frustrating is we have a guy like Salah, like you said, good leadership, knows the league well. He's played in Marítimo for several years. He's a safe backup in the sense that we know he can still do a job for us when coming in. It's sort of annoying that we still went out and wasted money on another goalkeeper. But who knows? Maybe Renan will come in and shut me up. Another player we're going to quickly focus on is the return of Nani, our captain, it seems, for this season. Patrick, how did you think Nani did on his third return to Avalad? Or to Sporting, I should say.
I was more excited with what was to come, with what he showed in the game against Marseille. I thought he was very good then, and we know that Nani, he's a quality player. But the doubt in my mind is what kind of Nani are we going to get this season? Obviously, he's around the 30 mark in terms of age, and he's had one or two tricky years out in Spain and Italy. So when a player is getting to that stage of his career and football, the amount of football he plays is getting shorter and shorter. It could be very tricky for him. But obviously he's someone who we know has quality and can definitely be useful coming into the season. But my fear with Nani is that he blocks an avenue for a guy like Rafinha or even Mateus Pereira, purely because his name is Nani and he's been at Sport. He's played for Sporting during two stints. He's a boy from the academy. That's my big fear, is that he plays on the basis of his status. When I think other players like Rafinha could perhaps add something different and something more useful to Sporting in this moment in time. But we'll see. I think it's good to have him around, especially in the situation that Sporting's in. He's a good character to have in the dressing room. And for sure, I think he'll help more than he'll harm us if Peseiro or whoever's manager in a month's time use him correctly.
I agree with you 100% actually. Especially like for somebody like Jovan Cabral to look up to. The career that Nani's had. I even see similarities in their games. They're both more, rather than an eye for goal, they're more both wingers trying to look for the assist. Both tricky wingers. I think definitely he'll help us more than he'll harm us. Steph, what did you make of our new captain? His game today, Nani?
Well, Nani, his career speaks for himself. Again, today was just the first game of the season, a game away. He played okay. He wasn't like super like wow, but he held his own. Um, he played well. He made the team played well. I'm not expecting him to play 90 minutes every game. I think he's going to be the player that he'll be subbed around 70, 75 minutes when the team needs to be refreshed. Like Patrick said, and you said, he's getting older, so that's expected of him. But will it be important to us? Yes, it's a long season. It's 4 competitions, so I'm pretty sure he's going to shine, crossing balls with those deadly passes and indirect kicks. We just need to give it some time. Nani hasn't played with his teammates for a long time. The team is not gelling yet. It takes time for the chemistry to kick in between him, Bruno Fernandes, him, Bataglia, him, Bas Dost, Acuna, Petrovic. So with time, he's going to get more comfortable with his teammates, and then that's when we see the chemistry kicking in, and that's when we'll see Nani, play like he has played before. But I'm very happy he's back. His leadership, like you said, Jovan Cabral is going to learn a lot with him. Even Rafinha is going to learn a lot with him. So he's
Matheus Pereira as well. All the youngsters, really.
Matheus Pereira is going to play a lot of games. He has to give it all at practice. That's all. Não há lugar cativos. Aqui não há lugar cativos. You want to play? Give it all at practice. And then Peseiro, I like Peseiro in that aspect. If you give me all at practice, if you listen to me, I'm the coach. I'll call you. If not, olha, ficas no banco. But that's
100%. And just to transition sort of to our last topic, this sort of Matheus Pereira, José Peseiro sort of debacle during the game. Matheus Pereira tweeted: "Tem coisas que não dá para entender, resta torcer da bancada." Basically saying, there's certain things I don't understand, but whatever, I have to, root for the team here on the sideline. And then José Peseiro, I'll just read it in Portuguese. I hope everybody understands. Se está chateado, é bom expresse-lo nas redes sociais. É que não concordo tanto. Temos jogadores com talento e a tarefa do treinador é ensinar e colocar o talento em campo com os compromissos e determinações. Quando ele não comprem e não dão esta resposta, podem ficar de fora. I'm going to come out and say I'm not a huge José Peseiro fan, but for him taking the stance, I love it. Especially the fact that I've been sick and tired of our use of social media in this club, whether it's players, whether it's anything. I've been sick and tired of almost every one of them. Whether it's people, congratulating Rafael Leão and Gelson for backstabbing us. Simply, send them a text if you're really their friends. You don't have to post everything on Instagram or on fucking Twitter. I think even Mateus, I like the kid. I wanted him to play. I was frustrated that he wasn't even on the bench. Of course, now we hear it's disciplinary reasons, but nonetheless, I was upset. So I can only imagine him. But don't take this shit onto Twitter. Don't, because you're going down a route that it isn't beneficial for you. It's not beneficial for anybody. And then I think this team has been through enough drama in the past few months that we don't need another, we don't need now a new one of player versus coach. Steph, you spoke a little bit about it, but what did you think of this move from José Peseiro and also from Matheus Pereira?
No, I like you said, José Peseiro was nobody's first choice. I mean, let's get the elephant in the room. Nobody wanted José Peseiro, but you know what? He's our coach now, so now we have to support him as a Sporting fan. What's our role? Our role is to support our team. So José Peseiro is our coach. We have to support him now, 100%. So as a coach, I love that. If you're not giving it at all at practice, why would you expect to be called for the game? I don't get that. I mean, I played soccer in my life. I mean, in high school, nothing, as big as Sporting, of course not. But it was the same deal, the same basis. You show me what you got in practice, then I'll call you for the game. If you se vais para lá com tiques de crack, amigo, you're not going to be called for the game. So I'm with Jose Peseiro on this one 100%. I didn't like that Matheus Pereira used the social media. I think that's very childish, very immature, and irresponsible. You talk to your coach. Keep it internal. Why
Yep.
put it out there in the media? Because record a bola e o jogo. They love that kind of shit. They love that because they'll twist it, and then they'll linger with this for a whole week. This whole week, that's all we're gonna listen to now, and I hate that. Like you said, we have enough confusion in our club. We don't need another one, another
Yep.
dilemma. You know, and that's all I gotta say. I stand behind Giuseppe Peseiro at 100%.
Agreed. And finally, Patrick, thoughts? Anything you want to share as well about the
Um,
Peseiro Mateus?
Yeah, so obviously it's never smart to bring in-house problems out in public like Matheus did, and I think Peseiro was right to stand his ground in that sort of situation. And at the same time, what he did was send praise to some of the other players that did get the opportunity to show their worth today, and that's always good because you're not just sending a message to one player, sending
Hmm.
the message to everyone else in the squad.
Hmm. Hmm.
About the situation, it's difficult to pick sides for me because we've seen what Mateus has done in pre-season, and with everything considered, I think Mateus, in my opinion, has been one of the bright lights of this sporting team. So, of course, from that perspective, I would have liked to have seen Mateus at least be included in the squad. I think on the basis of his performances, he's deserved that. I can't comment on what's happened in training, and I think none of us really know what's happened in training. It may not even be a case of Mateus showing a lack of effort. It might just be a tactical preference of Peseiro for this specific game and whatnot. But as we've said, I think Mateus in this instance he's right to be angry if because he's played so well, but to have that outburst online is never smart, and for that I commend Peseiro for clamping down on it. And it's unusual as well for Peseiro because he's a manager who, even in his best years, if we reflect back to 2005 times when he was first at Sporting, the football was amazing, but I think his biggest weakness, the biggest weakness that was levelled at him was that he's not a big enough character, and he really struggles to tame players when they get out of line. And he's had moments like that everywhere he's gone, whether it be at Porto or even at Braga.
Yep.
So for him to say that in public for himself, it's a very big step. But it was something that was necessary at the time, but hopefully we can put this behind us now and focus on next game. Hopefully with Mateus Pereira in the squad as well, and just go ahead and look forward to hopefully bagging another victory.
Hey, don't get me wrong. I love Matheus Pereira.
Yeah.
I love the kid, but he has to be respectful to his coaching staff, and he has to wait for his opportunity, because Jovan Cabral today gave us the game. For
Yep.
example,
Yeah.
Rafinha scored 15 goals for Guimarães, and he was sitting on the bench, and then he came in and he made the difference.
Yep.
So they must have been upset too. Rafinha used to start Guimarães every single game, and and Matheus Pereira did great at Chaves. He scored 7 goals. I understand that. Great performances. But you can just expect to be treated like crack if you're not behaving like a crack.
Yeah. See, for me, I just wonder whether Matheus Pereira has come in, and obviously Matheus knows the other players around him inside out. He knows which players are are well referenced and not like himself. And I think when he sees, perhaps, as we mentioned already in this podcast, when he sees a player like Bellingham not get a chance, when he sees the likes of Gerald, who like himself did very well in pre-season,
Yep.
we can all relive that belter he scored out in Switzerland, and he gets loaned out to Frankfurt. That was his reward, basically. You know, when he sees those things come up, I wonder whether that's all helped in the build up to him having this unfortunate outburst. I don't. It's easy to speculate, but I wonder if something has gone on there, which would be a shame, because what we need to be at this moment in time is united and focused on the tasks ahead. We have a very difficult very difficult time piecing all this together, and as we can see from past seasons, like any slip up that we have when we're competing against the likes of Benfica and Porto could be costly. So we really need to get our act together, so to speak. So we need to be united for that.
But as a coach, just to dwell on it a little bit with Francisco Geraldo and Palhinha, as a coach, you can guarantee players that they will start. You can say, "Oh, Chico, you're going to start every game," if that's what he wanted. You just can't guarantee that. I mean, from what I understand, Francisco Geraldo, he asked Sporting to leave more than 10 times. I want to leave. I want to leave. I want to leave. Maybe because Bruno Fernandes came back. And all of a sudden he realized, oh shit! If he's coming back, it means I'm not gonna have a spot. You know,
I think maybe it's a little bit of that, but I think it's also that Chico, I guess, wasn't appreciated. He doesn't have to play. It doesn't have to necessarily be Bruno Fernandes or Chico. It can easily been both. While fucking Bataglia can play center defensive mid. Bruno Fernandes can easily play as an 8, Geraldo can play as a 10, or they can sort of, okay, I'm not expecting Peseiro to do Guardiola tactics here, but Guardiola last year had De Bruyne and David Silva, play 2 number 10s playing as 8s. We can still sort of course, again, I'm not trying to say Peseiro can do a Guardiola, but, we can still, we could have still figured out a way to have him in the squad.
I
we
agree.
could have still gave him assurances like,
season.
Listen, Geraldo, you're not going to start, but you're gonna play. Like, I think Sporting should have did a bit more of an effort to show that we want Geraldo here. Geraldo was one of the few that were, defending Sporting, but on top of everything, a skillful player. You know what I mean? I find the Geraldo exiting the hardest out of him and Padinha. I find Geraldo exiting the bitterest pill to swallow, because he has an incredible spot on this team. Look at how much running Bruno Fernandes did this year, or this game, I should say. Put that into account of what he did last year. A little bit of the Euros. He barely had of the World Cup. I mean, he barely had a vacation. Listen, we could have easily rotated him, and as we've seen today, Peseiro's not the type of guy to be stubborn and leave a player on because of his name. Nani, second half, you're not doing as well. Let's put in Rafinha. Let's put in Jovan. Acuna, the same thing. You're not playing so well. Let's put in one of the kids. And that's what resolved the game. I think, had maybe more of it. Of course, I'm not behind the scenes to see, but from what I get from what I get from Geraldo, what he said, and even what Peseiro said, I still think that had Peseiro put a bit more effort into it, had Sporting put a bit more effort into it, I think Geraldo could have still been here. And this midfield that, a few of us are maybe shaky of, we would have been a bit more calm of, I think, at least, in my opinion.
Now, listen, I agree with you, but we'll never know the full truth until the player comes out and says it himself. But because there's more into it, maybe it's because he was getting paid the lowest salary of the whole team. Apparently, his salary is very low. Maybe that's why, one of the reasons why he was pissed off. But everything kind of came up when Bruno Fernandes said he was going to come back. So if you have a player that keeps on telling you, "I want to leave, I want to leave, I want to leave," why would you keep him? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what
I get
happened. Peseiro, I mean, why would Peseiro lie to the fan base? He said 11 times, "Epá, eu queria ir embora." The reasons he said he was because he wants to play on a consistent basis. So, and the Peseiro said, I told him, you think eles garantiram ter titularidade lá na Alemanha? He said the same thing to him. What guarantees you'll play every game over there? So must have been something else. I don't know. Because this was the golden year for Chic Geraldes, especially for Chic Geraldes. You had the best opportunity to play in the Sporting A team.
Yeah.
But Pelinha, I'm upset too. But I don't know.
Financially, especially.
Yeah, that was a shitty deal. I think we must have owed Braga some money, which I don't know.
Apparently, it was from the Battaglia deal.
No,
because Battaglia. This is what I heard. Because Battaglia rescinded his contract,
the 20%.
We re-signed them. Exactly. That was no longer there. So to pay the debt, we gave them Pelinha.
I'll go further than that. I think what Bruno Carvalho did to Antonio Salvador kind of pissed off the president of Braga. And now, so Sporting to play nice with them, say, I know you expecting more money from Battaglia. So
that can't be it.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
I refuse to believe that's it because why the fuck would Sporting care about Sporting de Braga? Especially a tough Sporting de Braga that can. Last year, we were lucky that they lost to Rio Ave, or else we'd be fourth. And secondly, a Braga that can easily compete for the title with us, with Porto and Benfica this year.
The comissão de gestão that we have now, que é o Sousa Sintra and his vice presidents, I'm pretty sure they wanted to be gentlemen and say, hey, I know we pissed you off in the past, so we'll do a deal for you guys that will favor you for the mistakes of the past. Which I think the deal is very shitty.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Patrick, quick thoughts on Geraldes and Pelinha leaving just before we move on to something else?
Yeah, Pelinha not so much because obviously he's a player who I think for a few years now has struggled to really settle himself. But of course, he is someone who, in a situation that Sporting were in, perhaps could have been useful as a defensive midfielder. Certainly to compete with Petrovic and whoever we throw that way. But Geraldes was obviously for me the big disappointment because I think there was moments last season where we relied a lot on the brilliance of Bruno Fernandes and Gelson, and when the team wasn't quite playing as well as you'd like, obviously individual brilliance is what wins you games. And sometimes I think Bruno Fernandes and Gelson were running on empty. And when you have a player like Geraldes, I think Geraldes, similar to Mateus, they're young players who can make things happen. So it would have been nice to have those players to perhaps to back us up. And obviously, I think being in the squad, you give them the opportunity to fight for their place. And just purely judging Geraldes and what I see, I think he looks like a good professional, and I think he would have taken the challenge. But obviously, we don't really know what's happened behind the scenes. But hopefully he can come back and have another crack at it. But I don't know.
Well, I'll say one last thing really fast. It'll take me 2 seconds. Also, the lack of consistency. Geraldes played at Rio Ave, but he didn't play well every game. He didn't play every game. He started a lot of games on the bench. Pelinha, the same thing. As much as I love them, as much as I love those two kids, but they lack of consistency. And Peseiro is the coach, and he saw something as well. That's all.
I mean, maybe in Pelinha, I agree with consistency. To a degree, Geraldes as well. But I think Geraldes, for the most part, of course, he had his bad games every now and again for Rio Ave. But I think for the most part, he had a great season in Rio Ave. I understand it's Rio Ave, but they overperformed last year. I think he was probably their best player. Maybe before Ruben Ribeiro left.
Did you see Bruno Fernandes today? He didn't stop running.
He was
running all over the
he was
field.
an animal for
Yeah,
sure.
got it.
But that's what I'm saying.
But that's what I'm saying. Was Sheikh Jadal's willing to do that? To play offensive mid, but to go back and help the defense. Was he willing to do that? Ou did the Peseiro notice, hey, tens de correr para trás, meu, então como é que é? E levou a mal. It's the things that we'll never know because we're not involved in behind closed doors. But if a coach sees that, you talk to a player and you tell him, hey, you got to run back as well to help out the team, and he refuses to do so, you kind of limited. Because at Riwavi wasn't going back. They give him a lot of freedom to play up front. It's these little details that fans sometimes they don't follow up on it. I saw Jadal's play at Rio Ave, and he played well offensively, but he didn't run back and help the defense. And that's maybe why Peseiro was like, what the hell? You got to run back, buddy. That's just me suggesting. I don't know anything concrete. So anyway, that's it.
All right. And then our last thing before moving on from this, I think we're all going to agree on this, so it'll probably be really quick. Man of the match. I'll start off first. I'll say Bruno Fernandes is easily man of the match, goal and assist. Steph, man of the match?
Bruno Fernandes, but Salah is right next to him because he made some crucial saves at important times.
Patrick?
Yeah, I'd go for Bruno Fernandes as well. Up and down the pitch, a decisive moment in setting up Dost, cleaning the game up, and obviously he got a goal himself early on in an important time. So you'd have to go with Bruno Fernandes for this one.
Yeah, 100% agree. Let's move on to questions before we end the podcast. And of course, my phone decides to act up now. 1 second. So our question, we only have one, but there's a bunch of them. From our boy Zé Pereira on Twitter. His Twitter handle is right here. Pereira4785 at Twitter. He asks, does anybody know what injury Viviano sustained? I figured out now it was apparently a sprain to his spine, but nothing yet on how severe it was. All right. He says, lots of negative responses from Petrovic, starting with Battaglia in the lineup as well. Do fans prefer a more offensive player instead and let Battaglia play more defensive duties? Patrick, we'll go off with you. So would you want somebody like a Wendell, like a Gerald, instead of Petrovic attacking more, or maybe another defensive-minded midfielder, maybe Storaro or any other name?
No, I think obviously for the Sporting situation right now, I think Wendell would have been the ideal person to put alongside Battaglia with Bruno Fernandes in the midfield three. But long term, I think Wendell perhaps has characteristics that belong more to a neat box-to-box than a deep-lying playmaker, which is what I think a big club like Sporting needs, especially if we want to, if we take a player like William, for example, that's the sort of player that Sporting needs to look at. So it's a player that can create from deep, but also have a bit about him as well. Without William, we get the chance to move to someone else, perhaps a little more mobile and well-rounded. I think someone like Milan Badeli, who Sporting were linked to, would have been perfect. Obviously, he's on big wages, but perhaps in the contract that he wanted, perhaps was too long for us to afford. But that's the sort of player that Sporting needs, someone who can come and collect the ball from the back line and find that pass in between the lines a lot quicker. What we have with Petrovic is someone who he can come and pick the ball up, and he's okay on the ball. He's not an absolute dud on the ball. He is decent technically, but what he'll do is he'll pass it. He'll find a very safe option, and like that, it's very difficult for Sporting to find fluidity and construct play. So it's not about being defensive or offensive. It's more proactive on the ball and more decisive. I think Sporting need to find a player like that that can begin to connect the dots and orchestrate Sporting's game a little more.
I agree. And so, do you think moving forward, do you think Wendell is that guy, or do you think we still need another signing in there?
To be safe, I would definitely go for a signing, but I don't see why a player like Vendel, alongside someone like Battaglia, who's obviously more robust defensively, or even Storaro once he's fully fit. I think you could couple Vendel with a guy like that, because Vendel is very good technically, and then it's just a matter of moulding someone like Vendel into that kind of player. He's a young player, and if he's willing to learn, then perfect. But to be safe, I would go for a different profile in it. It doesn't have to be a top class player for our dimension. Just someone who can do his job and do it well. That's all Sporting require, I think.
I agree with you 100%. And then the other question, again from Zep Pereira, is Sporting is trying to sign another striker. If successful, should Peseiro adopt a more 4-4-2 lineup? And how would that lineup look? Or should it still be the same lineup regardless and Doss plays alone? So, Steph, I'll throw that off to you. We have been linked with Carlos Baca. I'm not too sure we will get him, but we'll see. We're also linked with the boy from Club Bruges, whose name has escaped me. Diaby, thank you. Nonetheless, we still have Monteiro, we still have Dumbia, we still have Castanigos somehow. Do you think we should adopt more of a 4-4-2, Steph, or do you think we should, stay the 4-3-3 and still have Dost and whatever other striker we get is sort of a bench player?
Well, depending on the game. Today was a game away. Typically, playing at Carnegus, it's very difficult. So, of course, we played a little bit more reserved. That's why I think Petrovic played today. He wanted to have a muscular midfield. He played extra defensive. Let's put it that way. Wendell, I like Wendell, but he's not there yet, apparently. But yes, we do need another forward. So far, we only have Bajdos, so to speak. They can play, and we know he's going to give us goals. Dumbia, forget about him. Castaños, forget about him. We're very limited. So, yeah, if we get Carlos Baca on a loan, holy cow, that'll be so good. I hope we get him. Diaby, I don't know much about him. I mean, I Googled him.
Decent
I'm
stats.
not impressed. Yeah, decent, exactly.
The only thing, sorry, just to chime in.
It's in Belgium.
That's
in Belgium.
But it's also, he has one season, or last season, he scored 16 goals. The season before that, he scored none. And then the season before that one, he scores another 15. So it's tough to tell from him, really.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. If I had a choice, I would try everything for Carlos Baca if we could get him. But one thing I have to remind what's his name? The Italian dude, Stuvaro.
Stuvaro, yeah.
Yeah, Stuvaro. He's injured. It's an Achilles injury, so it's gonna take up to 2 months. So we only gonna see him around October, maybe.
Yeah, maybe even November.
Yep. So it's like getting him in the winter season. Yeah, basically, because his injury actually he's going to take care of it in Italy with Juventus. They're going to pay for and everything. So let's forget about him for a couple months. He's not even a choice, a possibility yet. So they do need another midfielder. I would get a left back, someone in the midfield, like Patrick said, someone that they can connect the dots. Patrick was right on that. We don't have that yet. Somebody with a long vision like William Carvalho. And we need at least one more forward. And I'm even going to say two more forwards. I would like to get somebody like Utomané, Pinheiro, somebody big, and somebody fast. Like Diaby, maybe the kid from Bruges might be the answer. We shall see. But besides that, the tactics, when we play away, I'm expecting to see Bas Dost basically by himself, unless we find ourselves losing, and then he has to change it back to a different tactic to win the game. And then at home, we'll play with two forwards, more comfortable because we'll play at home. and that's typically what coaches do anyway.
Yeah, I
That's
agree 100%. And last question isn't really a question; it's just a comment. He says Sporting weren't particularly impressive with the passing at 65%. Both wide wingers didn't factor much. Field was narrow and in bad conditions. It was the central players who had more impact. Overall, not a bad way to start. Not a bad to start away. Agree with you, Zeh. Thank you for interacting with us. Everybody else wants to interact with us. Go through our Twitter page at Sporting160EN on Twitter. And I guess we'll end it there. Anything else everybody wants to say, Steph?
Yes, there's an important thing that we need to talk about, which is the ladies Champions League.
Claro.
Yes. Okay. So
Modalidades. Quase que sim.
no way. This is not a
Just the ladies. Okay.
just the ladies, yeah, because the modalities they haven't started the seasons yet. So
Fair.
but our ladies, they're in group number 10 of the Champions League. They're trying to get a spot for the final phase of the Champions League. So we in Group 10, we're in second place with 3 points. We lost the first game against a team from Norway, 3-2. We were up by 2-1, and then they tied the game, and they scored a late goal, and they won. And then
Unlucky.
I know, against Evaldesnes. Hey, it's Snooms the Norwegian, forget about it. And then we won against the home team from Croatia, Ocheseski. Também é nome assim complicado. But we won 3-0. And our ladies will play again tomorrow at 11 o'clock our time against the Dragon. That's easy to say, you see. So the first ones, the winners, the group winners, so there's 10 groups, will automatically qualify. There's already the top 20 seeded, they're already qualified. So the 10 that will win the group will make it 30, and then the best 2 second places will make it as well. So if our ladies finish in second place, they depend on a lot of things. Goal average and all. It's not the games in between. It's goal average solely. So we need to win by a lot of goals the last game. Yeah. And then luckily we might, if they finish second with a lot of goals, one of the, then they qualify. But it's been some good games, and they played on Sporting TV. Yeah. So if you guys have Sporting TV, I do. So you know how. Yeah. And that's it. I hope our ladies make it. And
they've been playing well. I've been catching a few games. Lev Zinga, aka Diana Silva, she got a chip the other day, and I think that's what inspired Bas Dost today. To be honest, what a goal!
Yeah, the MVP has been Anna Borges. She's been playing really well. Also, our number 6, Caroline Baldwin. She's been balling and winning a lot of balls. Then Sharon, she's been scoring a lot of goals. The other American, but the whole team, Patricia Moraes, been right on too. The whole team has been playing well. Yeah. I hope they win tomorrow, and then we just gotta cross our fingers and see if they finish first in the group, which I don't think so, because the most complicated team won against us. And then I hope they finish one of the best seconds out of the 10 groups. Yeah. And that's all I got, man.
All right. And then just a quick shout out to Nelson Evra too, who's a European champion as well in the long jump. And that is it. Patrick, thank you very much for joining us here at Sporting160. Absolute pleasure. You're a man who knows his football. Thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts.
Yeah, no, really, thank you, because Patrick's time is 1 o'clock in the morning.
It's 2:30 now.
Wow, 2:30 now. Yeah, so we really thank you.
Agora.
Thanks a lot. I hope you're not waking up your parents.
Nah, not yet. I don't think so.
That's good, man. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation.
It's all right. Thanks for having me again.
All right. that is the end of Sporting160EN podcast number 15. Again, thank you, Steph. Thank you to all our listeners, all our Twitter followers, everybody that interacts with us.
Thank you, Zé.
Thank you, Zé, exactly, for all the questions. And Força Sporting. Viva Sporting.
Viva o Sporting, o maior.